make sure I want to make sure we did that. Okay, because I don't want everybody, okay, so. What? Good job. So it is doable, right?
I made it 88, and I'm talking about.
I was shocked. I only took
You're
it one
such a
time.
disappointment.
I only took it one time and made that 100. I was shocked.
I'm trying to find, are you recording yet?
Yep, we are recording, so you want to sound rednecky, you can
I
sound
could
rednecky.
not say it then.
All right, 12.1. We are starting on 12.1 today. That means that we are starting on statistics. Statistics, what is statistics? There's two meanings for the word statistics. One meaning starts with a capital S. And the capital S stands for the math behind gathering, calculating, and interpreting data. Okay? Let me get to that. I'm not going to go over that. There we go. So write that down. You don't have to write it word for word. Just say the science of gathering, analyzing, and interpreting data. Basic math. It's basic math. There's no algebra involved. You have to use basic math skills to do statistics. Now notice that the word statistic, this is a test question, is capitalized. When it is capitalized, it is the science of gathering, analyzing, and interpreting data. I'll go ahead and give you the lowercase definition, and I'm going to give you a Hubertism definition. The lowercase definition, statistics, with a lowercase s, variables used in sample formulas / calculations. Now, what did we say a variable was in algebra? It's a letter. And when you're using a statistic, lowercase, you're using a variable that you use out of the alphabet. X bar is equal to the sample mean. S is equal to the sample standard deviation. So when you see a letter in a presentation, like let's say you're at work and you've got your degree and you're working salary now and you're attending a meeting and the meeting says X bar is equal to 26 years old with a standard deviation S is equal to 2 years old. In other words, standard deviation varies. Then you know, as a person viewing this presentation, you know that's a sample calculation. Now, what is a sample? Well, there's two types of groups in statistics. There is the population and there is the sample. A population is the big group. Let's use an example as students at Tri-County Tech. What does that include? Tri-County Technical College students. What does that include?
Everybody.
Everybody. E-R-R-Y-B-O-D-Y. Everybody. That means Oconee campus, Easley campus, Pendleton campus, Sandy Springs campus, and Anderson campus. And Oconee, if I said Oconee. Okay? Everybody. But what would the sample be? We could pick one and use a sample. Let's use the Anderson campus. That's a smaller group. Now, why would we want to use a smaller group? Because of the two most important things in life. What are they?
Food.
No. Next to food. What are the two most important things in all of our lives?
Water. You have the wrong person. Technically, it's food.
Time.
Shelter.
And what?
Money.
Time and money. That's the two most valuable things in our lives. All right? Why do we want to use the sample? The whole goal of probability and statistics is to use the sample to predict what? The population. Why? Because this saves what? Time and money. Now, are you supposed to master statistics in 2 sections of a Math 155? No. The reason that we're doing this in 155 is for 2 reasons. One is so you don't look like an idiot in a meeting. All right? 2, standardized tests in future classes. All right? Because there's about 4 or 5 statistics classes that you need to take to actually master statistics. All right? And that's Statistics 1, Statistics 2, Research and Methods, Statistical Theory, and Interpretation. There's about 4 or 5 classes. So this is just a drop in the bucket, but it's mainly 2 reasons. One, so you won't look like an idiot in a meeting. So as a presentee, I can't spell. Presentee. In other words, if somebody is presenting this material to you at work, you don't raise your hand and sound like a what? An ignoramus. And the second reason that we go through probability and statistics is for your tests and future classes. Versus most of y'all, if you take my Math 120, you will be, this is Unit 1 right here. What we're doing right now, 12.1 through 12.4, is a lot to do with Unit 1 in 120 and 103. So that's why. All right, now we're going to get into this population here in just a second, because it's going to tell you the difference between population and sample, if you're paying attention and not playing on your phone.
I was going to tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, my Math 103 is 9:05 to 10, but my problem stat's 10:10 to 11:05.
Okay, so
But it
leave the
already-
8 o'clock open in case you need it.
But I was going to say, because the problem stat class already has the room number, so
Don't worry
it wouldn't
about
be you.
Huh?
So it wouldn't be you, your class.
No, I can teach in other classrooms.
Uh,
Yeah. I can use different classrooms, different boards and everything.
okay.
I'm just kidding. Like I say, leave the 8 o'clock. What time is the 8 o'clock 120? Is it on Tuesday and Thursday, or is it on Monday, Wednesday, Friday? Can you look it up right quick?
I think it's Tuesday, Thursday.
Okay, so that means leave the 8 to Tuesday and Thursday open on your schedule.
I can't. I have biology that day.
Okay. Well, I hope I'm teaching both in your case. I hope I'm teaching the 10 o'clock. So, I don't know. I told her, I said, I want both. So, I doubt, no, whatever. Statistics is divided into 2 main branches. Descriptive statistics and inferential. Is this a standardized test question? Yes. Most of these definitions that you're going to see on these slides are standardized test questions. For some of you health ed people, y'all have to take a test before y'all go into, what is it, practicals?
Right.
Yeah. What's it called? T's? Isn't it called the T's test? Huh?
I think it is the T step.
T's test, yeah.
I don't know.
TEAS test. What is descriptive? Descriptive statistics is when you go outside in the parking lot and you ask people what their ages are and you do a statistical workup on the average age and standard deviation of those people. Descriptive. What does descriptive mean? That means that you go out and you what? In my example, what did I tell you? You go out and you what?
Collect data.
Collect the data. Get the data. Yes. You go out and do the work. Inferential is when you use somebody else's what? Work. Now, what does that mean? That means plagiarize? No. Data cannot be plagiarized. Okay? If you copy data, you just a difference between descriptive and inferential. Let's say you go to the DOT and you want to ask them how many people had wrecks pertaining to DUI in the last 5 years. Did you go get that data or did they do that data? They did it. So that would be inferential. So if you're getting data from a test question, if you're getting data from a business or an institution like the DOT, then that would be inferential statistics. So make a distinction between the two. Yes.
It says it only has one for Monday, Wednesday, Friday, from 10:10 to 11:05. I'm in. That's the one I'm in. And then the other one's Tuesday, Thursdays
Hey,
from 5:40 to 7:05.
there's another one. Oh, I know why they're not. They're not advertising the 8 o'clock because it's for high school students, and then they'll open it up after a certain date, and I can force you into the 8 o'clock if it's full. I can force you in there. So you can still sign up for the 8 o'clock. It's just that they haven't released it because it's for dual enrollment, and then you can go in there and take it after, whatever, after they lift the date off of it. Okay. So everybody write that down. There's 2 types. That is a test question. Make sure you know the difference between the 2. Statistician is somebody that lives, breathes, and eats statistics. I think it's a made-up word for somebody that didn't become a mathematician. That's what I think, but that's just my own opinion. I would say something, but I better not say it. Anyway, there's all kinds of people that want to be heroes, but they don't want to do the work to be a hero. Well, in my opinion, sometimes a statistician is somebody that couldn't get a math degree, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, and you'll find that there's people out there, especially psychology teachers, they love statistics. They love talking about statistics. So, like I said, a statistician's interest lies in drawing conclusions about possible outcomes through statistics. There's the population. And I just say it's the big group. Population is a big group. Sample is the smaller group. The sample comes out of the population. What's so funny? Do I have to ask you to close the laptop?
Oh my God.
Are we still in high school or what?
Oh my God.
All right. A sample includes some of the items in the population. It's the smaller group. So I'm not going to sit here and make you write that. Big group, small group. Random sample. Can somebody tell me what a small definition of a random sample would be?
Randomly selected. Someone asked.
Okay, yeah, that's a good small definition, but I'm looking for 2 words out of this long definition. Can somebody pick out the 2 words in this long, Equal chance, highlight it. Equal chance. Are you drunk?
Oh my God.
Equal chance, I need you to highlight it. Because that is what the definition of a random sample is. What would be a random sample? Let's say that I gave each of you a red pen and a yellow Post-it note, and I told you to write your name, first name, last name, fold the Post-it note in half, write your name with that red pen. Of course, Miss Alexander would not write it with the red pen. She would write it with another color pen. And everybody fold it in half and put it in a goldfish bowl. Would everybody have an equal chance of getting picked? Yes. What if Miss Alexander folded hers in eighths and everybody else folded theirs in half? Would that be a random sample? No, because the person drawing the name would either be attracted to that different fold or they would shy away from picking it because it's what? Different. One of the things about random sample is there is no what? There's no bias. Bias is a very used word. No bias. What does bias mean?
Me.
What does no bias mean? You don't judge one way or the other. Think of no bias. There's two things that has no bias. A judge or a umpire or a referee.
Whatever.
Okay? When they call something, okay, they call it down the middle. Now, I sit on a land use board, and we have to make decisions about the content of something. You have to take away the part, if you know the person, you have to take away the part about, they could be putting a strip club on this piece of property. They could be putting a mobile home on this piece of property. They could be putting a palace on this property. But you have to take that out of the equation and say, can this person build a structure on this property no matter what it is? Does everybody see where I'm going with that?
Yeah.
That when you're on a board, you have to, and the reason I said that is because this last month meeting, which was 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had a person come up and the property was 3/100 of an acre less than an acre. And they were wanting to put a mobile home on it. And we had all these people, there was about 5 or 6 families that came and said, we don't want to do this, we don't want to do this. Well, that's not your decision, it's not your property. But I had to say in the meeting, I don't care what the man puts on the property. It's his what? It's his property. My problem is it's below the required what? Acreage. And I had to tell the people, I said, you can say mobile home all you want to, that's not going to make a bit of difference to me. 1, I lived in a mobile home for 12 years. And 2, it doesn't matter if he puts a teepee on that property. The only thing that matters is, of course, we turned it down because it was below the acreage. And it would set a precedent. And that's another thing, a precedent. Same thing with a judge. Same thing with a referee. Now, do they make the right calls 100% of the time? No. But one thing about a judge or a referee or a board making a decision, usually, most of the time, they try to do it down the middle. Does everybody understand that? And when you do statistics, you have to be down the middle. Okay? That's what that means. The best sample, write this down, the best sample for statistics is a what? Random sample. So, random. What if Miss Woodward used a pink Post-it note and everybody else used a yellow Post-it note? Would that be a random sample? No. Because the person picking, unless they were blindfolded, would either be attracted to that pink Post-it or they would what? Go shy away from it because it's different. If there's any inkling of bias, it's not good in statistics. Capiche? So you could put, under no bias, you could put uniformity, you could put Down the middle, you could put anything right in there because that's what you're trying to be. And those people got kind of mad at me when I said that because that took away their argument. They thought that they were going to come in there and say, oh, he's going to put a mobile home and we were all going to go, beat him upside the head or something. I don't know why they thought that. So, anyway. Systematic sample. This is the second best. Now, why would you use a systematic sample? Time and what? Money. Instead of sending out 100,000 surveys, you could just cut it and say 10,000 surveys if you did the last person on each page of the phone book. Everybody with me? Or the 7th person that comes out of the front doors of the Anderson campus. Every 7th person. It's got to be very what? Systematic. You got to know which one it is. Every 10th person in the phone book. Every 7th person coming out of the parking lot. Every 5th person in the classroom. So that way, you don't have to interview all. You just have to interview a systematic sample. So that's another good definition. And it is the second most reliable. Are you in a trance? Okay, no, you're not. Next, a cluster sample is sometimes referred to an area sample because it's applied. Okay, how about a voting precinct? Is Miss Woodward in the same voting precinct that I am? I don't think so. Okay, because she lives in BFE and I live in LA. Lower Anderson. Where do you live, Miss Woodward?
Duncan.
Duncan. I was born in Duncan.
We don't want to overdose.
What did she say?
We don't went over this.
What did she say?
We don't went over this.
I didn't know we did. I got 5 different classes, so I don't know what I go over in one class. I'm sorry, Miss Persnickety.
Oh my Lord.
That's why you're going to fail this class. All right. Miss Woodward, I was born in Duncan. Anyway, I was actually Spartanburg. Anyway, cluster sample. We do not live in the same community. A community could be a cluster. Okay? So I would use a community or a precinct as an example of a cluster sample. Stratified sample involves dividing the population by characteristics. Male / what? Female. Red and yellow, black and white. I always use that because it's a song. And hopefully I don't offend anybody by saying red, yellow, black, and white. Religion. Atheist, Christian, whatever. Income. Po folks, not po folks. Okay? Whatever you want to divide them. In other words, it's not by geographic. It's by socioeconomic. It's by gender or race. So you need to use stratified. You need to use gender, race, religion, income, etc. Foot size. Blondes, brunettes, redheads. Again, do you need to master this? No. But if somebody says we did a stratified sample, excuse me, in a presentation, you know it was done by what? One of these factors. Could it be whether you drive a Ford or a Chevy? Yes, that could be stratified. Probably not, because there's so many different what? Cars now, so many different, it would be hard to do that. But if you could narrow it down, gender is one of the best ones. What about Democrat, Republican? Yes, that would be one. Okay? Convenience. Write down the least used, the least accurate. Why? Because it's what? Somebody said it, mumbled it. Because it's convenient. Anything convenient is usually useless. let's say that I worked at a rock radio station, and I was the DJ, and I said, I got a thing I got to do for school. I've got to find out how many people out there like Southern rock music. Everybody call in right now if you like rock music. Well, what's everybody going to say? They like rock music because they're listening to a what station? So is that a very accurate method? No. Another convenient sample, hollering out your window and saying, are you a healthy person? Okay? Well, what is the person doing outside your window if they're outside your window? They're probably walking on the sidewalk. And there's two reasons they're walking. Either they're trying to get somewhere or they're trying to be more what? Healthy. So, is that a convenient sample? Yes. Is it accurate? No. So this is a test question on a standardized test. The easiest and the least what? Accurate. Okay, I'm not going to go through this because y'all should be able to. I'm not going to. We'll go through those in the homework. Well, we can go through one or two. All right, here's one. Identify the sampling technique. Every 20th. When you see the word every, and then it has a number, that's systematic. Every yawn means boredom, right? A $50 gift certificate is given away at the annual Bankers Convention. Tickets are placed in a bin and the tickets are mixed up. Then the winning ticket is selected by a blindfolded person. That takes care of the yellow and the pink Post-its. So which is this one? Random. These are all test questions you could see on a standardized test. Children in a large city are classified based on the neighborhood school they attend. A random sample of 5 schools is selected. All the children from each schools are included in the sample. I believe that would be a cluster because it's where they what? Where they live. You don't go to West Side. I mean, you don't go to Hannah if you live on LA. If you live in LA or West LA, you go to West Side. So that's geographic. Cluster. The first 50 people entering a zoo are asked if they support an increase in taxes to support a zoo. They're asked something that's not geographical. So what would that be? Starts with a S.
Stratified.
Stratified. No, I'm sorry, convenience. I'm sorry. I got that wrong. I forgot about convenience. It's least accurate because they're just asking people to come in. They could be asking a teenager. And a teenager wouldn't know squat about taxes. Okay? But they could be asking teenagers, and so it would be convenience. They're just standing there. There we go. A registered vehicle, blah, 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 subcompact, mid-size, full-size, SUV, and truck. I said Ford and Chevy a while ago. This one is saying what kind of car. So what is this? Here's the S. Stratified. So make sure you know those 4 or 5 different examples, okay? If you need to review it, go over the video for the one person that does it. Misuses of statistics. This is where you get into people using a platform or a statistical report to try to get their point across. Okay? And I'm just going to get right to the 5 out of, okay. 4 out of 5 dentists recommend sugarless gum for their patients who chew gum. What's wrong with this? There could be 100 dentists. You see what I'm saying? They're just picking out. How many of you have been in an argument or a debate with somebody and they take one section of the Bible And they used that section of the Bible and beat you over the head with it when they forgot to use the second part of the verse. I'm just using that as an example. I'm not trying to preach or anything, okay? So don't be calling ACLU. Or they take an instance that happened in the past and they just use that one instance and they say, well, everybody's going to do this, blah, 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 blah. No, you can't do that, okay? We do not know the sample size of the number of times the experiment was performed to obtain the desired result. We don't know how many dentists were asked. The advertisement does not mention that possibly only 1 out of 100 dentists recommended to come at all. In an advertisement for golf balls, a driver golf ball is hit and another brand golf ball is hit in the same manner. Now, how are you going to get 2 people or 1 person to hit a golf ball exactly the same? You might be able to get Tiger Woods to do it because he's probably one of the greatest of all time. We are told that the driver golf ball travels farther, and we are supposed to conclude that the driver golf ball is a better golf ball. Do you know how many things go into a traveling golf ball? Anybody?
A ton.
A ton. At least 5 different things.
What's in
One,
the
how many
core?
dimples are on the golf ball? The dimples cause air resistance, which keep it from slicing or what? Hooking. The sweet spot on the golf club. You may not hit it exactly on the sweet spot. The swing of the golfer. The swing of the golfer can be a little bit different. The height of the tee could be a lot of difference. The wind, the weather, the humidity. The same thing on a golf ball applies to the same thing about a bullet that when a sniper fires. You've got 5 or 6 different things that are falling on that bullet or that golf ball at the same time. You're not going to be able to predict. You're not going to be able to say. The only way you'd be able to do it is if you had a machine that swung that golf ball and a machine down here that put that golf ball at the same. Y'all seen that commercial where the robot is hitting the golf ball at driving range 5,000 times? That's the only way you would be able to say this. There's so many variables. Does not mention the number of times the experiment was previously performed or the results of the earlier experiment. Speed directions. No 2 swings are identical. Now, why do you need to think about this? Because if you're sitting in a meeting, you don't want to sound what? Ignorant. All right? Vague or ambiguous words. A lot of people use these kind of words because they want to sound what? Smart. Okay? I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because this is your reading. Remember me telling you y'all are supposed to read 12.1? This is why, because we're not doing really any math. Okay? So make sure you read 12.1 and 12.2. And I have to do this in 120 and 103. I have to go over all these words, and it just takes a long time. During contract negotiations, it is not uncommon for an employer to state publicly that the average salary of its employees is $45,000, whereas the employees' union states that the average is $40,000. Who is lying? Both sides may be telling the truth. Each side will use the average that best suits its needs. That's what a lot of people do, whether they're in math, statistics, the media, a magazine, newspaper. What will they do? Each side will use the average that best what? Suit their narrative. What's a narrative?
Your objective.
It's a point that you're trying to get what? Across. Advertisers. Okay? Have you ever Googled which blah, blah, blah is the best? And it comes up with the one that says, my product is the best, and it comes up with advertising. That's not what you're looking for, okay? The same thing here. The marketing strategy is to put out the word best, okay? That's why, and I hate to say this because people don't like to hear this, knowledge is what? You've got to do research on anything that you do. Anything, any decision you make, is it whether it's a car, or whether it's a house, or whether it's an apartment versus a house, or whether it's whatever. You've got to do your research. Or you can end up on live PD and not know anything. Okay? What? Did you? Consumers often misinterpret this average as one with which they are most familiar. Another vague word is what? Largest, best, largest. Okay? Fastest. Harding's claimed that it is the largest department store in the United States. The movie Elf. Everybody knows the movie Elf, right? What?
Yes.
What ambiguous word was used when he got to New York? What did he walk into? What shop did he walk into and say, congratulations? What did the sign of the little shop say?
The best coffee in the
World's
world.
best what?
Coffee.
World's best cup of coffee. Again, it probably was not the best cup of coffee. They were just using that for marketing. And that's what that says. Does that mean that it was the best? No. A disinfectant manufacturer claims that its product killed 40,760 germs in a laboratory in 5 seconds. Who is going to count germs? Now, what they probably did is they probably figured how many germs cover a Petri dish, and then they took a picture before, and 5 seconds later they sprayed it, and 5 seconds later they took a picture after, and then they said, well, that's a percentage, so we're going to say 40,760. But did they individually count those germs? No. How many times have you seen commercials that you say, yeah, right? And then you try it at home and it doesn't work? How many of you have seen the Whopper on commercials or the triple at Wendy's and it looks like a picture in a magazine? Is that what you get when you unwrap your hamburger? No. Looks like somebody sat on it. Okay? You can't be taken in by marketing. In my 103 class, we go over a business section. And I tell students, when you buy a $3,000 car and you make payments, you're spending $6,000 on that car when you pay it off. When you buy a house, it's a $100,000 house, you spend $200,000 when you pay it off. Why? And they all go, I don't believe that. You know why? Because they've never been what? Taught. They've never been taught how to do payments, how to do amortization. Same thing here. You could be taken for a ride with marketing. Some people are taken in. You ever seen a Shell game in New York City? Where you pay the Shell game? It's a con. I'm trying to skip through a lot of this stuff, okay? Because I know most of y'all invented probability and statistics. A foreign car manufacturer claims that 9 out of every 10 of popular model car is sold in the United States during the previous 10 years were still on the road. Yeah. The public is to conclude that this foreign car is the best car ever made. But they might have tried it out of 30 different cars. that this model has been selling in the United States for only a few years. The manufacturer could just as well have said 9 out of 10 that sold in the United States is the previous 100 years are still on the road. In other words, they are not telling you what? Everything. Charts and graphs can be misleading. This is what you see in a lot of media, whether it's a television show or news, or if it's a magazine, or if it's a newspaper. Now, sometimes it happens because of mistakes, because the mathematician gives the stuff to the graphics person, and the graphics person doesn't think about what they're doing. They just make it pretty and make it colorful. They don't think about the mathematics. That's a mistake. And then there are people that do it on purpose because they're trying to get what? Their point across. Okay? Just like this. Which one is the best one? The one on the left. Why? Because it has all the numbers on the independent, and it has all the numbers on the dependent. What is this one doing? This one cut out some numbers right here. And it makes the graph look what? More intense. Makes it look steeper. This is what people fall for. Okay? You can't always take everything at face what? You have to look at it. You know the old saying, what was that?
Somebody texted me.
Okay, you know the old saying, if it's too good to be true, chances are what? It is. Okay? Sometimes if you think something is really, really good or really, really bad, you might want to check into it a little bit more. Here's another example. Here's the difference between the two. But look at this one. What happened? They cut out some numbers. It's kind of like putting sawdust in your transmission. What does sawdust in the transmission do? Makes it run fine. Until what? Until the sawdust gets down in the bottom of the transmission and you start to hear the clanging. Okay? You got to be careful. Knowledge is power. What's wrong with this one? Somebody tell me what's wrong with this one. Well, how many yellow boxes can fit in the green box?
2, because it's 1 year and months.
You can fit 4 of those in there, but what's the difference between 1 and 2? It's only double. But the green box is 4 times the size of the what? Yellow box. You see where people can get bamboozled? And they're getting bamboozled, let me tell you. Today, people are getting bamboozled. So you look over there. You can fit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can fit about 8 of these in a 3-dimensional box. In this box, you could fit 4 of these in this box. See what I'm saying? We could actually do that. I could actually, yeah. No, I don't think I could with the transparency. I don't think I could. A circle graph can be misleading. Hey, what is the most missed bonus question on my test? I told y'all at the beginning of the semester, the weights of the what? Of the test and the homework. Why? Because one says 30, 30, 30. The other one says 80, 20. Which one is right? The 80, 20, because it's the only one that equals what?
100.
Every graph should equal 100. Whether it's a box graph, a histogram, or a pie chart. Well, this one is not. Why is this not a valid? Well, heck, 50 and 42 is 98%. Or 92%. Or what, 80, is it 92? Yeah. There's 37. We only need 8% to make it 100. And is this valid? No, it's not valid. Now, these are going to be on your test. These last 3 slides where there's something wrong, they're going to be on your test. And I tell you right now, a pie chart will always be on your test. On a standardized test, on my test, make sure you understand what a pie chart gives you. Should equal 100%. And that's what they're telling you right there. You should not be left with the impressions that statistics is used solely for the purpose of misleading or cheating. It's not. Okay? But with the news, with magazines, with papers, with presentations, you have to do your what? You have to do your research. You have to, knowledge is power. And class is, what time's class over? Okay. Okay. So we'll go ahead. Let me see how much is left before y'all start getting rude on me. Let's say graphs. That's it. So now you should be able to work on 12.1. Go ahead and read 12.1 and 12.2, and I will see y'all Friday.